Hello. Welcome to another episode of the Lions Den podcast. We are here on a Wednesday night, midweek of a doble jornada, which Leon did not play, but we'll get to that later on. We're here to talk about everything that happened last week in Leagues Cup and the final. We'll definitely talk about Carlos and Louis and Javi's presence. Well, Javi's still we're trying to get him on, but talk about everything that happened. They were there experiencing the whole thing, so we'll definitely get some good details. Talk about just the jornada, how we're standing. So we did have a game against Atlas, and then we'll talk about moving forward into this weekend's matchup. So if you guys are watching us via Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope, please let us know what are your thoughts. We love the conversation to keep going. You don't have to agree with what we say to give us something to talk about. So further ado, Carlos and Louis, gentlemen, how are we feeling tonight?
Good. Well, good answer.
Mixed bag for me. I mean, as amazing as the Leagues Cup victory was and is, and we'll get into all that, of course, but Saturday was a brutal reminder of how we still have half a league season to go, and we're not quite where we need to be with that, and nothing can come in the way of one's opportunity to win the league. That is and will always be the most important thing at play. So yeah, it was kind of a brutal reminder. It's funny, if we'd had a podcast in between the Leagues Cup victory and the game against Atlas, I think our vibe would be very much leaning toward the positive. Mine anyway would be leaning very much toward the positive, happy-go-lucky. But I can't do it completely right now, because that game on Saturday was ugly. Brought us back down to earth, brought us back down to our reality.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to say about that Saturday match, which I think we'll get into. But if there was ever a time that I was okay with losing, it would be that game, just because of the amount of effort and the amount of energy that we put into Leagues Cup, which was obviously the priority this summer. And yeah, I mean, we had 5 games in 14 days in 2 weeks. I mean, that's a lot of mileage for these guys. So if there was ever a time that I'd be okay and not worried about league, it would be that game.
I'd be right there with you, Carlos, were it not for the complete egg they laid against Juarez a week before and the points they dropped against Tigres a week before that. Those especially, there was no excuse for that. Last second losing those points, that game was won. And the game against Juarez, I get it. Like, same situation. That was between the semifinal and the final rather than after the final, but still in the midst of a heavy stretch. But we can't forgive them for all of it. I mean, if we're willing to forgive this one, which in a way I am as well, but I'd be completely and utterly indifferent to this loss against a good Atlas side playing well at home. Again, they may not be quite as good as advertised, as they just dropped a game at home last night to Puebla. Come on. You lost at home to Puebla, and you did that to us on Saturday. Yeah, whatever. Well, that's neither here nor there. And that's neither here nor there. That's not the purpose of this podcast right here. But I mean, you can't forgive all of it. Like those last 2 leagues, if they had held on against Tigres, and if they even won ugly or even gotten a draw against Juarez, I'd be much, much, much more willing to forgive the egg they laid against Atlas. You can't forgive all of it, though. I mean, they're kind of in a dicey position in league now if they want to be. I mean, you only pretty much need to get to 20 points to be a repechaje team right now in LigaMX. They're already at 15 with almost half a season to go. So I'm not really worried about qualifying at least for the repechaje, but they are not. I mean, if they want to be thought of as a contender for the title, and at least, I mean, a contender especially for a top 4 spot, which we've seen in the last 2 editions. Yes, there's been a repechaje, but the last 2 winners of the title in the repechaje era were super líderes, and only really the yes, I know Santos was a repechaje team and they made it to the final, but it's mostly been the top 4 teams that have been in the conversation. That's where we want to be, and we're kind of in a dicey position we weren't before. We kind of seemed like that was what we were gonna. That was the trajectory we were on, and nothing was gonna get in the way of that. And it's not the case anymore. I mean, they have a fight in front of them if they want to be a top 4 team again.
Yeah, definitely. So I know how frustrated we are from last weekend, but let's talk about something happy first. Let's start off the show on a happy note. Carlos and Louis, you guys were there talking about just a little bit pregame. You guys were outside the hotel. How was it? How many people do you guys estimate? Like, I guess percentage of like León and other fans, and cómo está el ambiente?
It was a lot more León fans than Sounders fans. I would say that for sure. It was maybe like 75-25. But there were a lot of LigaMX fans there too. Like, I was walking into the stadium with Louis and his parents, and there were a lot of Cruz Azul fans there, Chivas fans there. Everybody was wearing their jerseys. Ran into a few Seattle Sounders fans around, but not as many as I anticipated. They were all sort of on the little section to my right, and then just the rest of the stadium, at least for me, seemed to be LigaMX supporters. But at the hotel, I think there were like maybe 100 people outside waiting for the players to come out. Really, really nice ambiente, and obviously when the players came out, they lit up the smoke bombs and made everything green. So yeah, it was super nice, very awesome.
Yeah, when I was walking around the hotels on the strip the days prior to the match, I saw mostly Sounders jerseys, and I was like, oh man, I hope it's not not a flood of rave green. Cannot stand that color, except when the Seahawks use it. But yeah, I was afraid it was going to be an inundación of Sounders fans. I knew a ton of them would make the trip, as I said in the last podcast. Respect to the loyalty of their fan base. As much as I do not like them per se, I have to give them respect for their loyalty. I knew there'd be a big trip there, tons of flights on low-cost carriers between Seattle and Las Vegas, also between Portland and Las Vegas. Some of my folks were able to come down there and join me and see the game as well. But the day of the game came by, and I think a lot of León fans from all points in every direction drove in for the match that day. Like a lot from California, from Arizona, maybe even from Texas. And so like when it came to be match time, yeah, there were a ton of León fans around as well. Then I started seeing them in the hotels on the day of the game and after the game. That was the sweetest feeling ever. Like right after the game, going back to the Luxor hotel where I was staying and going up to the little cantina there, and there was just an influx of people from the game supporting both sides, León fans and Sounders fans. And it's just nothing like that when you can kind of rub it in their faces like that. You don't do it like actively. In your mind, you're like, yeah, we won. And you're here commiserating, we're here celebrating, and especially when it was the Seattle Sounders, one of my top 10 most despised teams of any sport on the face of the earth. It was a really, really nice feeling, kind of a surreal experience. Don't know what it would have been like if we'd lost, but we didn't. And so,
man,
yeah, it was couldn't have been better experience.
Yeah,
With that little Leagues Cup bubble, leaving the LigaMX contexts out of it completely. Just that little Leagues Cup bubble, Leagues Cup final bubble. It was pretty surreal, and it couldn't have been better.
Yeah,
and that stadium, and this is only, let's say, the 5th or 6th live event that stadium has hosted. It opened over a year ago, but during COVID, there were just no live events there. There was a Raiders season with no fans. And so this is only maybe the 5th or 6th live event they've had. And so it still has that sparkly new feel to it. And it's a pretty amazing venue.
Yeah. Nice.
And so much fun to be part of the experience. The last time I was in Las Vegas had been 20 years before that. And they didn't even have a professional team, and there was no stadium really of any kind except for the UNLV stadium, which is actually which hosted the final of the first Leagues Cup. But this was it was completely different and a very, very agreeable experience, to say the least.
Awesome. So Carlos, I have the starting lineup. Do you have the starting lineup pulled up?
I don't.
I have it. I just didn't know if you had it.
Yeah, I don't have it.
So for that starting lineup versus Seattle, we had Cota, Mosquera, Barreiro, Tecillo, Osby, Jefecito, Omar Fer. I always call him, just I don't want to spell it out whenever I tweet about Omar Fernandez. Colombato, Mena, Meneses, and Davila. Guys, how do we feel about this lineup? Were we kind of, positive?
I was a little bit surprised at Meneses starting. I really thought it was going to be Elias.
Mm-hmm.
I think we talked about it in the pod prior to the game, and I think Louis was the one that brought up the fact that maybe Meneses would be put in there, and he was. I'm not mad at it. I am mad that he missed that sitter.
Yeah,
but he played a great game. Everyone played a great game in the second half. First half, we didn't do too well, but I think it was a strong lineup, and the substitutions in the second half really helped a lot.
Yeah. My big takeaway from this is I'm glad that Holland's coaching decisions factored so much into his first win in a final, because as soon as he made those substitutions, the game completely changed.
Yes.
And that's all him. I mean, that was his decision. I mean, in his first final one, he made the decision that made so much difference. And so I was really, then on Saturday, I was kind of soured on his lineup decisions a little bit. But in the moment, I was like, man, what a great moment for Holland, winning his first title with León and playing such a factor in the final with his decision-making. And, I mean, well, what a difference a couple days makes. And we'll get into this later, I'm sure, but Luis Montes coming in as a sub in that game making such a difference, and then on Saturday starting, and people saying his career is over. So like, what a difference a couple days makes, But in the moment, it was like, man, yeah, it was a great substitution. What that tells me maybe his future with the club is as a sub, as a super sub, and not as a starter. But even Gigliotti coming in and being effective. I mean, the guy just will not let us tirarle, because 2 finals, 3 goals. He came in another final and scored a goal. I mean, you just can't. He will not allow us to criticize him. He comes in like, what more can we ask of him? And then he earns a start against Atlas and does nothing. But still, everything worked out in the second half of that game against Seattle. It was kind of like a dream. I mean, they score on us first early in the second half when we hadn't played well in the first half. And they're like, okay, they're going to really get it together. They're going to talk this over in halftime. And they're going to come out firing and put them away in the second half. And then Seattle scores first, like nightmare scenario.
Yeah.
Roldan scores.
How did you guys feel when Seattle, like you guys were living your life? How did you guys feel? Seattle dio el primer golpe, and you're standing there like, oh no, this is what León needed to do. Llegar primero. Seattle hit. What was your feeling?
Yeah, just what I'm saying. Like it was a nightmare scenario. It was a nightmare scenario, the way we had played, and they come and score first. I mean, it's not like it was against the run of play even. I mean, they had played better. Mm-hmm. So we're like, they come out and basically it wasn't quite a gol de vestidor, but it was close. It was only maybe 10 minutes into the second half?
Yeah, it's about 54 minutes.
But to their credit, I mean, everything basically turned on a dime. The last half hour of the game, like, it didn't look like the same team. And the experience was completely turned on its head. The experience of watching the game was completely turned on its head. I was pretty downtrodden. I was there with my folks who had also been with me at the Bank of California on that fateful day in February 2020. And I was just like, oh no, not again.
Deja vu.
Yeah.
Not again. And to their credit, they said, no, we are not going to allow this to happen. And they basically decided to be the better team for the last half hour. And boy, were they the better team for the last half hour. And luckily I was on that side. I was on our goal side in the second half. So I saw all the magic transpire right in front. I was up on the second deck, but still it was a great vantage point to see all the magic happen.
Yeah, when that first goal was scored, I was like, "Oh no, here we go again." That was my feeling, and I was sitting next to some two Seattle Sounders fans, and they just kept talking trash. So I was just like, "Ah, God, here we go again. Se van a caer."
Yeah.
And then, literally, like a couple of minutes later, Roy Diaz has a chance to put them up 2-0, and it goes off the post.
Oh my
And I'm
God.
thinking, "Oh boy, here we go! Like it's really happening. You know,
Yeah.
it's really happening. We're gonna do it again." And yeah, after those substitutions were made, like everything changed. I mean, I, Elias comes in, puts a perfect assist to Angel Mena, threading the needle, and luckily somehow he kind of missed the chance at putting it in first touch, but then he puts it in there, and everything changed. I mean, it was back to 0-0, and Angel Mena. I said it, guys. I said last
Yeah.
podcast. I said he's got to show up, and he showed up. Man of the match. Doblete had a chance to get a triplete, but couldn't do it. But yeah, I mean, when that first goal came, I was like, man, we're gonna do it again. It's gonna happen again, and it sucks. Yeah, it was a bad feeling. It was a really bad feeling.
It was a
Louis,
it
your
was
bones
a really it was a really bad
horrible
feeling.
when Seattle scored until Leon scored. I think my heart dropped, and with Carlos, not again. Like here we
Yeah,
go. Like the guy, what is it? GTA. Like here we go again. Like it's
yeah.
just like my heart dropped. And I think because obviously from the beginning, I think Leon started off very strong. Then we saw how Seattle just was pressure on us, like this high pressure that Leon could not play out from the back. So we were struggling. It was a very physical game. There was a lot of fouls. And to me, I was really pissed because I was like, I feel like every time the game was stopped because Seattle were like very physical. And I was worried about Colombato because he had a card on him. And I was like, oh
Mm-hmm.
no, like, what's going to happen? Mosquera looked very, very like weak. I mean, he was just scrambling. Olsby kind of looked kind of uneasy. So,
Osby was getting beat all night.
huh?
All night, he was getting beat all night by
All night.
who's their right winger? Is it Roland?
Um,
Let me check. Let me check.
I can't remember. Joao
Mon-
Paulo, maybe. Yeah,
it's either
I can't remember his name right
Roldan
now.
or yeah, I think it's Roldan. I think
He's
he
the
was
one that
playing there.
scored.
Oh, he's the one that's yeah. Well, I mean, I think he was playing right wing, and yeah, LG was just getting schooled all night, man.
Yeah, it was tough to watch. I was like, oh no, en una de estas, like, nos van a meter. And no, like, Seattle did well first half. Towards the end, I mean, they literally constricted us to the point that we could not move forward. Like, they were
Mm-hmm.
just suffocating us. So,
I mean, they're a team I cannot stand, but to their credit, they're about as stacked. I mean, as an MLS team gets, and they know how to play LigaMX competition. We have to realize they blew out Tigres' pretty much first choice side,
yeah,
and pretty Santos' first choice side. They held off and managed to get a winner at the end. I mean, they didn't beat any scrubs to get to this position. They beat two good Liga MX clubs playing pretty much first choice lineups. Yes, those games were at home for them, and this was a neutral site, but I don't really feel like that made too much of a difference.
yeah.
I mean, I feel like both teams eventually were able to play the game that they wanted to play. And down the stretch, Leon just had more quality. I mean, the one thing Seattle didn't have was guys to come off the bench to match the quality that Holland was able to bring in. That was ultimately the difference. And that's so nice to see that we have guys who can come off of the bench and make a difference like that.
Not only that, but I'd like to point out the fact that we brought in some very seasoned guys. Like these are veterans that have played in big moments. You talk about Elias Hernandez, who just came off of being a champ with Cruz Azul. You talk about Luis Montes, who's been through this before. He's been through these types of losses before, and he wasn't going to let this one go again. Like, yeah, he's not going to let this one slide. So you have these veteran players, William Tecillo, who had a great game, Angel Mena, who, like I said, showed up. All these players who have been in this situation before that just put the team on their shoulders and said, we're not going to let this happen again. It was an incredible comeback.
Definitely. I think what's crazy is that Chapito was, already ready to sub in when, you know, in the Constructora play with Omar Hernandez and they sent Chapito back, like, hold up a minute. Like, Omar is feeling himself right now. Let's give him a couple more minutes and then sub out. But you get quality for quality in that substitution. And yes, Carlos, Elias, me encanta. Like, you know, Tom had his reservations, and I was like, Tom, don't go there. Elias, at the beginning of like when we, you know, acquired him back, I was like so happy. He's like, ooh, he's getting old. I was like, no, we're not gonna go there.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't have it every night anymore. No, he.
No, pero le echo ganas siempre.
Like. He can't bring that great quality, remember, from 4 or 5 years ago with the club to the fore every night anymore. He just can't do it. But when he's able to show it, I mean, it's as good as it ever was. And like,
but you know what, Louis? I'm never mad at him. I'm never upset because I know he puts his full effort. Cuando no se puede,
that's true.
Puede. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah,
I don't remember any play where I'm like,
effort.
Like I didn't like that move or.
Yeah.
I'm not questioning his effort. It's just that, I mean, same thing goes for Luis Montes. I mean, no matter what effort they put in, sometimes the quality just isn't consistently there at this point in their careers. But I mean, it's a great piece to be able to bring in this kind of situation, and he flourished. Hopefully we can see more of that.
Yeah.
I think despite Mena's first goal, I think the real challenge was the penal for him, because I was like, this is like a make or break it moment. It's a final. I was like, if he does this, then like major props to him, because we've, you know, always said tiene que aparecer en partidos grandes, and with the penalty given at that point in time, I guess it was perfect scenario for him to overcome that challenge.
It was, and had he missed that, I'm afraid that it would have given the Sounders life. Like the way that when he missed against Tigres, it gave them life when we had them on the ropes, and we could have knocked them out completely. In this penalty, we had them against the ropes, and they knew that, and we knew that. So he absolutely had to convert it if we wanted to keep the momentum.
And Fry guessed the right way.
Placed.
Fry guessed the right way. But there was just too much pace on it.
Yeah.
Just there's too much pace, and Fry doesn't have the mind games that Nahuel does. So, I mean, there it was.
Shout out to Dario. He's also a big Club Leon fan. He does all these statistics for Fiera MX. I retweeted his tweet, and it said, un día Mena apareció en la final. And I was like,
yeah,
get scored. So that was awesome.
Yeah, and the first goal wasn't too pretty, you know.
No,
he was open. He found himself in front of an open goal, and I think I remember, and also that he had against Pumas in that same situation a couple seasons ago. Sometimes he gets frazzled in those situations and he can't put it away. So props to him for doing just enough.
Just got it in.
Yeah,
just enough. But yeah, I mean, I think overall it was a very entertaining game, obviously, because we came out on the other side. But I think we definitely went through a series of emotion, especially with La Remontada after Seattle kind of hit it first. So are we content with our team performance that night?
Yeah. Well, the last, 30, 35 minutes, I would say.
I'm content with the experience. It was unforgettable. The whole everything surrounding it, the setting. I mean, Vegas and the new Allegiant Stadium. I hope that becomes a scenario for a lot more games like this in the future, whether they involve Leon or not, because it's a cool place to have that kind of thing happen, have that kind of thing go down.
Yeah. And
the experience was unforgettable, and the win against that particular opponent. This may never happen again for someone who feels so tied to wanting one team to win and to beat that particular rival so handily. I don't know, I couldn't have asked for a better script. And who knows if that'll ever happen quite the same way again. Against any other MLS club, it wouldn't have, winning our first international title would have felt just as sweet, but there wouldn't have been that schadenfreude of beating the Seattle Sounders in the process. So yeah, that was... And beating Pumas in the semifinal, that felt really good too.
It's a once in a lifetime experience because.
But yeah, it was a once in a lifetime experience, and then the dust settles, and Leon comes home with their first international trophy, and that's huge for the institution, especially for the lofty goals that I want to talk about again in a little bit. I'll hold off a little bit because I think that's, but the lofty goals that the club, that the Grupo Pachuca has laid out for the team going forward. This was a big first step, and now the team has their first international trophy in the bag, and that means a lot for the institution.
Once in a lifetime experience. Like, listen, this last time we won the Guardianes Cup, the LigaMX title, I shed a tear. I choked up because I was like, man, it feels great to see my team on television winning the title after so many years. But seeing it live is a different feeling. Like, when you have a chance to see it live and a chance to see some of these legendary players that have been around for years. Some of these guys have been here since the Bicampeonato, like Elias, Montes, Navarro wasn't there, but he's been here. Some of these guys who were there when we lost the Conca Champions, it feels like 10 times more amazing to one day be able to tell your kids, like, oh yeah, I was there when Luis Montes lifted this cup. Like, I saw that live. It's an amazing feeling to see it in person, live.
Absolutely. Yeah, the Guardianes 2020 happened in the middle of a pandemic, and there were no fans in the stands after I had been used to, for several years, being there always. And being there at the final in Estadio León when they lost to Tigres. Yeah. And then they get back there and they win it, but I was down the road at a Wingstop. I was in the city, but I couldn't be in the stands. I was with Javier at a Wingstop.
I remember Wingstop when you saw Leon.
We were at Wingstop on La Madero. I mean, we were in the city. We tried to get ourselves as close to the action as we possibly could, but it still wasn't the same as this, seeing it live, like Carlos is saying. And that's why, I really need them to get back to a LigaMX final that we can be there for. To have that feeling again in the LigaMX final. It doesn't take anything away from the last title that we won that we couldn't see it live. But you're right, Carlos. It's just not the same. It's not the same watching it on TV.
Yeah,
it's not the same watching it on TV. Even if you're only a couple kilometers away at a Wingstop on La Madero, it's not the same.
It's not the same. Like, I don't. Did you guys, Gary? Were you guys able to hear Los Caminos de Guanajuato on TV?
Yes, for a bit.
Because it was super loud in the stadium. Like, when people were singing it after the game, I literally ran around the stadium to get to where they were going to hoist the trophy because I was on the back end. So I was like, I need to run over there. I'm going to run across security if I have to, but I got to get this. I was like, I got to get this on video and I got to watch it.
It's a beautiful feeling.
Yeah.
I was singing it as loud as I could. What a surreal feeling to have that blasting in a stadium like that one in that place. Yeah.
I lost my voice that night.
So Carlo, did you shed a tear?
I did. Yeah, I did. When the final whistle blew, there were a couple of Sounders fans coming up the steps that fist bumped me, and I wasn't even wearing a Leon jersey.
Okay, which is my other question. What happened? It's a final, Carlos. I know you're, hashtag I wear black every day.
Well, I was gonna wear this one. I wear this one. I promise you I was gonna wear this one. But the day that I left, I had it in my hand, and I don't know what happened. I left it on my desk, and by the time I got to Las Vegas to check into my hotel, I was like, "Where's my shirt?" I was like, "No, I left it on my desk."
Or something.
Well, they weren't selling them. I thought we went to the Campeón de Campeones. They were selling all kinds of jerseys. They were selling them all over the place.
Yeah.
But they weren't selling anything at this one.
They weren't selling anything.
They just weren't.
Yeah. Just
nothing.
Like
there was really cool scarves. We're talking about the scarves. There were these really cool scarves. Carlos and I both wanted one, but they weren't selling them. They were giving them out to VIP invitees, I guess, and to team personnel on both sides, but they were not made available for sale. That was disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but no, that was the first thing I asked you, Carlos, when we met up at the team's hotel. Like, where's your jersey, man?
I'll wear it next time. For sure.
And I was just about to ask about your dance, Lily, because it seemed like your dance on like some drugs or something. Because it was just like the
Oh,
excitement was just like, ow,
well,
like
You added a little extra.
out.
I put a little extra into it this time, and my mom can attest because she's the one who filmed it. That I did 3 takes. I wasn't happy with the first 2.
Oh,
So
Damn.
yeah, normally I just take the one video and that's it. But
yeah.
I did 3 takes this time to make sure I got it right. And yeah, it was very well received. There'll always be a few trolls, but for the most part, it was very well received. Probably, I think it was the most viewed of the one I've ever had, except for me, the very first one that I did, the 3-0 win against America in the Azteca
Yeah.
a couple years ago. That was the very first one I did. That one went viral because it got like, I don't know, some page picked it up and reshared it, and it got like another 40,000 views or something like that. Other than that, I think this was the most viewed one.
Well, your mom said, I'm so grateful we were able to be there with Louis, and we wouldn't have wanted to be around Louis if the outcome had been different. So
Yeah, I wouldn't have been wanted to be around me either.
Yeah.
I would have wanted to disappear.
it'd be like, where'd he go? That's funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Awesome.
It was a happy day, so I'm glad you guys got to witness that live redemption for the other terrible blacklisted games that we don't talk about. So I'm glad you guys were able to live this live.
Shout out to Javier, man. Got a chance to meet him for the first time. Javier,
yes.
if you're listening to this or watching this. Cool dude, and his dad too.
Yeah, I had met Javier obviously before, but not his father, Alfredo, I think is his name. Yes, correct me, Javi, if you're listening and I'm wrong. But yeah, his dad was there with him, and yeah, Javi was having a blast because obviously, as he has mentioned on here before, he is a diehard now Las Vegas Raiders fan of the Raiders franchise wherever they play. So for him to see this happen in the home venue of his beloved Raiders, I think that made made that extra special for him.
And we were this close. We were this close to almost not doing the pregame video without Javier.
Yeah,
really?
he had to.
Yeah.
Well, he was on the other side of the stadium, and he had to run around to meet us. Yeah.
And then he was over the railing downstairs, and I was like, "Where is he?" And I saw him, and I was like, "Javier!" And he came up. It was awesome.
We did it.
So Javi is watching. He says, sorry for not able to make it today. Still can't believe that exactly a week ago, Carlos and Louis were in Vegas witnessing the Fiat history, being Seattle, a team Louis really hates. So I know he was happy. And overall, it was at the stadium. Home of the Raiders, 3-0 Raiders.
Man.
But
yeah,
happy times. Flipping the page, we'll just talk a little bit about what happened on Saturday. Like Louis said, now our heads should be in LigaMX on how the past couple of games have been kind of rough, and it's understandable with this past Saturday game to an extent because at that point in time they've had a lot of games in 2 weeks. I think by what is it, Carlos? By Saturday they had 5 games in 14 days or something like that.
5 games in 14 days. I mean, just think about that. Sometimes we kind of don't feel comfortable playing doble jornadas, 2 games in 1 week. Just imagine 5 games in 2 weeks. I mean,
yeah, Carlos.
That's
but
a
here's
lot
my
of
thing.
mileage.
Here's my thing about that. I was sort of leading towards before that I said I would say for a little later. Jesus Martinez came out and said the goal is to take this club to a Club World Cup. That's what he says. The goal for the team is. If that's truly the goal for this team, they're going to have to get used to playing midweek games all the time. That's going to mean.
I don't know if we're that deep though. Not yet.
Well,
at least
I'm just going off of what the president of the team says is the goal for the club moving forward. If that really is the goal, which I truly hope it is, because how awesome would that be?
Yeah.
If that truly is the goal, they're going to have to get used to playing midweek games all the time. Because that's going to mean always being in Conca Champions, or always being in something, always being in the hunt for these kinds of things. Like, they're going to have to get used to doing this. I think they have the personnel for it now. They just kind of have to. They kind of have to figure out the rotations. They didn't really. Yeah, they have the bench now, but they've pretty much been starting their same 11 in every game. Monterrey doesn't do that. America doesn't do that. That's why they have all these extra guys. Like, they have to figure out how to have two competitive lineups, I would say. If the goal really is to get to a Club World Cup, they're going to be playing midweek matches for the next few years. I mean, that's what it's going to have to be. There's no other way. There's no way around it. That's why I don't like the excuses. I don't like the excuses they made. I really didn't like the excuse about the wet pitch after they lost 1-0 to Juarez. Both teams play on the same pitch, you know, and if Tuca ball closes you in, well, you have to find a way to fight out of that. I did not like the excuses after that match. I don't want to hear any excuses about tired legs after Atlas. I mean, they got to go on a run now. They'll only be playing league matches now. They have to go on a run, and they didn't play a doble jornada this week. The entire rest of the league did. So we will be the only club with a full week's rest before the weekend matches. They need to go out and take care of San Luis. Got demolished today at home by Tigres and did not look as good as maybe their record to this point would suggest. Leon needs to come out and take care of that team on Saturday, and from there, have a string of good results and finish in a top 14. As a top 14, that's the goal right now. Anything less would be a disappointment and a failure in LigaMX play to me.
Well, let's take nothing away from Atlas. They've been playing wonderful ball all season. To me, they're la sorpresa del torneo. Like, there's no other team that I expected to be in the top four. I mean, if you ask me, do you think Atlas is going to make it directly into Liguilla at the beginning of the season? I'd be like, no, you're crazy. Like, I'll put all my money on that. But they've beaten some really good teams. They beat Monterrey. They drew against Tigres. They drew against Toluca. They drew against Santos, and they beat León. So, I mean, take nothing away from them. They've been playing great ball. So I think we just had the odds stacked against us. Yeah, that's LigaMX soccer.
You know,
that's LigaMX soccer for you. Anything can happen. But I mean, I think the odds were stacked against us because here you have a team who's coming in, playing great ball. Our lineup is shuffled because of the League Cup. Some of these guys are out of rhythm, especially Luis Montes, who I don't think should have started. And we're playing a team like Atlas, who people are underestimating because they haven't won anything, but they're playing great ball. And then you have a team like León who's coming in that Atlas knows these are the big teams we have to beat. We have to bring our A game against them. And they did. They brought their A game.
Which is very frustrating. I mean, the Juarez game, we lost in a free kick. What can we do about that? We could you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, borrón y cuenta nueva. On Saturday,
what we could do about is generate something on the other end so that we're not perjudicado by one goal. That's what we can do. You know?
Yeah. I guess I wasn't as frustrated with the Juarez game then.
No, that was.
I guess as you keep moving forward with these games, it's like se te va pasando. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying it's an excuse that, but yeah, think about yes, 5 games in 14 days, the traveling, all that stuff. They still on that high of we won, you know, kind of get to breathe, you know, because they've been exposed to losing in CCL and all this stuff. And like Carl said, the lineup was shuffled. You know, we weren't like about it, but I mean, yes, we can't take away some of the credit that they did have. Coca's been doing better with Atlas than any other coaches have been. Am I saying anything can happen? Yes, they lost to Puebla. But I don't know. Maybe I'm still on that high of midweek and I'm like, okay, this weekend they have to restart. You have to jumpstart back again.
I mean, it's for a lot of these guys, I think it's like the only break they're actually going to have in 1.5 months. I mean, Tecillo and Mena have been running around for weeks without a rest. And Mena, who, I mean, it's probably a blessing in disguise. He's not going to be playing the next game because of accumulation of yellow cards.
Yeah. I don't even think it's disguised. I don't even think there's a disguise. It's just a blessing. Like, even if he weren't suspended, I would say rest him. Like, the guy's been going full strength, and if everyone else has a full week's rest, I think we can take care of San Luis at home. Rest that guy. Have Elias start in his place. You know, it's a pretty natural. It's nice to have that natural substitution there. You know.
Well, we can't underestimate San Luis either. I mean, they just beat Toluca. Like we just said, anything can happen
They beat Toluca, got destroyed, and did not look good at home
against
tonight
Tigres.
against Tigres. Yeah, a Tigres team that has not looked good either. No.
Yes. Shout out to Chango Loco coming back to the comments saying,
Chango Loco.
hello, guys.
What's up, my man?
He's like, well, it's not looking that good. We are still in it. And vamos Leon in conclusion.
Yeah, we are still in it. I mean, a win this weekend would push us up to 5th.
18. Yeah.
Push us up to like 5th. And this is taking into consideration that we're not playing the doble jornada because Cruz Azul is playing Campeones Cup tonight.
Yes, we will have a game in hand.
So I think we're all right. The schedule doesn't get much easier, though. I mean, we still have to play, who is it, Monterrey, Toluca. We have a few teams that can give us some trouble. But like Roland said, what gives me peace of mind is that this is the only tournament that we're playing now. We can concentrate on it 100%.
Yeah.
Well, it starts on Saturday. They need to go and take care of business. No excuses now. They have a full week's rest.
And Fer Navarro
with
looks
nothing
to be
Liga, with nothing Liga matches in front of them. It starts on Saturday against San Luis.
You said Fer Navarro looks like he's almost ready.
I saw him with his practice stuff on, so it looks like he's practicing 100% now. I wouldn't be surprised to see him.
He's been practicing, but he himself said he's still a ways off. So
really,
yeah, I wouldn't expect to see him for at least another. I wouldn't expect to see him for at least another month. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll see.
But another month, there'll still be, with the fecha FIFA and everything, there'll still be quite a number of matches left to play. So I think he can still come in and make a difference. Yeah. Maybe he can come in and be that X factor that so far Luis Montes has not really been. There are people. I think people overreacted to his performance against Atlas. I think you're right, Carlos. I think he's not quite ready yet for the role that they've been giving him. But Roland's task number one with the squad is to find a role for him that makes him an asset and not a liability. Because I think there's still some good football left in the tank there. There's still some stuff left in those legs. It's not a done deal just yet.
Yeah.
Definitely. Moving along to the jornada rundown, started with Pachuca beating Necaxa 1-0. This is before the jornadas. We're talking about the game versus Atlas. Puebla and Cruz Azul drew 1-1. Xolos and Mazatlan 0-0. Our loss against Atlas 2-0. Tigres and Pumas, no damage, 0-0. The Clásico América Chivas, 0-0, unfortunately. And let's see. San Luis beating Toluca that Carlos had mentioned, and Monterrey beating Santos 2-1. That was before the doble jornada. Obviously, we mentioned we were supposed to play Cruz Azul, but they're playing Campeones, so our game will be rescheduled towards the end of the season. This weekend, upcoming matchup, Puebla Pachuca, Juárez Monterrey will play against San Luis on Saturday. Santos Mazatlan, El Clásico Tapatío, Chivas Atlas, which will be good because Chivas is still looking for a coach, but Leaño took over in the meantime. Toluca Querétaro, El Clásico Capitalino América and Pumas. On Sunday, Necaxa Tigres and Xolos Cruz Azul on a Sunday as well. So I guess, guys, like Louis said, no excuses. Saturday night. Were we expecting a starting 11, a strong starting 11, or more shuffling?
Oh yeah, strong starting 11.
No, it's got to be the best. Got to be the best available.
Yeah.
After that, I mean, guys are leaving, and they had a full week's rest.
Omar Fernandez cannot be benched anymore. He cannot be benched. He has to be in the start because he's the difference maker. Like when he's not playing, you can tell he's not playing.
Yeah. Because
there's a lack of creativity. There's a lack of offensive firepower. I mean, he's literally become the new Luis Montes, the Luis Montes that we were accustomed to seeing over the last couple of years. And as sad as it is to say, yeah, Luis Montes should be coming off the bench at least until he gets back into rhythm. But yeah, Omar Fernandez. What a player! What a signing!
Yes, we got very lucky. Louis, what are we thinking? Santi, Davila, Gigliotti.
Oh, I mean, I would say Davila will start.
Agreed.
I mean, I would expect to see the same starting lineup we saw in League's Cup final, except for Elias instead of Mena.
Okay.
Elias for men. Oh, that's right, because
Vanessa
he's out.
Mena, the Eminem on the wings.
Okay.
Though honestly, the sooner Ramiro can get healthy and
Yes.
and start in the back, so that
He's already back, isn't he?
He lo convocaron
He
para el partido
traveled-
he travels.
well, he traveled to Las Vegas and he was on the bench for both of those matches, but saw no minutes.
Yeah.
Hopefully he can work himself back into the starting lineup, or at least see some time, maybe against his most recent former club, San Luis, for whom he was very effective in his time there. Maybe he can see some time.
He was a goleador for them.
He was somehow, yeah. But yeah, as soon as he can get better and maybe replace Barreiro, or start alongside Barreiro and have Tecillo be a left back again, because for me, Ospi I've been hard on him and he'd gotten better, and I'd tried to lay off him a little bit, but just lately he has not looked good, and I think we'd be better off with Tecillo at starting on at left back, and having Osby on the bench. That's just me. Maybe people don't agree, but yeah, he hasn't looked good.
I like it.
Mhm.
But
And I insist, I insist the best Leon has looked in the Tecillo era is with him as a left back and not a center back.
now, are you saying Avion or Mosquera as right back?
Oh, Avion for sure, 100 times out of
Okay,
100.
then I agree with Louis.
Avion, but
Mosquera, yeah.
I don't know if
I would
Holland prefers that.
I just from what I've seen, I'd like a back line from left to right of Tecillo, Ramiro, Barreiro, and Avion.
I am cool with that.
I like that too, but I don't know if Holland likes that.
Oh,
Just- just
what is he
judging-
not to like? You
Just
know,
judging based on his starting 11s, I think he prefers.
Well, I know he
Mosquera.
likes Ramiro. I know he
as a
likes
right
Ramiro,
back.
but Ramiro
Yeah.
got hurt. I mean, he had won the starting job for Holland, and then he got hurt. So I'm hoping he can win it back, because I think we looked better with him there than any of the center back pairings we've had since.
Yeah, it
Yes.
was Ramiro and Tecillo,
Mm-hmm.
and then Barreiro was benched first part of the season.
Yeah, Barreiro was benched.
yeah.
That's a good starting 11. Colombato, Fernandez, Davila. I think Davila's going to start too.
Cafecito, Meneses, and
Jefecito. Jefecito's been wonderful this season, man.
I'm glad he was able to bounce back.
Oh man, ever since the Campeones Cup. I mean, no, the Campeón de Campeones. When I first saw him, I was like, wow, like this guy looks in shape. He looks ready to go.
Yeah.
And he's been good, man. He's been glad he's back. He'll probably get a national team call up, maybe, if he keeps playing like this.
As long as he plays.
Yeah.
That's a whole other story. But Louis, where's the game at?
It's at home. Yeah, I'll be there.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, you guys ready for prediction time?
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's go ahead. Everybody listen to us. Give us your prediction on Saturday night's matchup. Well, not night at 5:00 Central. But Saturday's matchup against San Luis. We're gonna go into prediction time.
Prediction time!
I love that. Go.
So hold on. First of all, I just want to say, Chango Loco, wasn't Chango Loco a San Luis fan before?
He was, and he
So-
converted.
That's going to be interesting. I want to see what his prediction is.
He was, and I think he even said on the chat on the pod that I guess now he made his way to the Fiera side, but hopefully he stuck to it. Prediction time, Louis. Let's go with you, as you'll be in attendance.
Yeah. I am expecting and requiring a big bounce back at home against an up and down San Luis side that will be hopefully dejected rather than motivated. They got a big win at Toluca and then had a completely flat performance tonight at home against Tigres. And I expect our guys to come in not wanting to mess around. I expect them to come in rested. I expect a 3-1 victory.
3-1. I like how you said required. It sounded like you're a professor. Like this is an assignment. You're requiring for this victory.
And let me just say, as we are doing this, Columbus Crew are officially champions of the Campeones Cup.
Yeah, let's not even talk about that. Carlos, your prediction for Saturday.
So I think given the fact that we have 3 draws and 2 losses in our last 5, mainly due to the international tournaments that we've been playing, the international tournament we played and won, I think we're going to come out strong, and we're going to it's going to be a statement game for us, especially losing to Atlas and Juarez the last 2 match weeks. So yeah, I think I'm going to go with the 3-1 for Leon, and we're at home, so
yeah,
we got to make sure we take care of that home field advantage. But yeah, 3-1 Leon.
Okay, same. You and Louis Changoloco said shh. You can't hide if you're a Leon fan, Changoloco, but he says 2-1 victory for Leon. I'm going with the 2-0. I want to leave them scoreless, and I was gonna say a 1-0 just because of the rough patch we've had with LigaMX in the past couple of ones. But I'm gonna go 2-0. Hopefully they bounce back and leave them scoreless. And like Louis says, it starts from Saturday and beyond. We're not looking back at the past. So 2-0 for me. But yeah, guys.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
We got a title to win.
Oh, before we take off, did you guys see about they're investigating Gigliotti's transfer? What's that all about?
Didn't see anything about that.
Haven't heard anything.
I saw a tweet, probably an hour before, something about investigating Gigliotti's transfer or loan or something in between those lines.
He's still on loan, right? It's only.
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah.
And
I think we're still.
I don't think. Well, from what I'm just reading here is it wouldn't. It has to do with his transfer from Independiente to Toluca.
Oh.
Being involved with the Cartel del Gol. So in any event, I don't think that would affect Leon anyway. I would hope not.
Okay. Yeah, Julio Salcedo from Azteca tweeted it, so I was kind of like, I didn't really dig more into it than I saw, so I thought I'd just mention it. He says LigaMX Argentinos under investigation. Oh, all Argentinos?
That's interesting.
I guess we'll see in the next upcoming days.
I have one last thing we need to talk about.
Yes.
The new pink jersey that just came out.
Yes. I'm going to pick one up tomorrow.
Nice.
Are you going to be the first one? Is that the question?
I think it came out today, so probably not. But
it's on the website. It's on the Charlie website, so we can probably order one. And they have shoes on the website too.
Probably showed up.
They already have shoes on the website?
In the Guarida today.
Yep.
So I don't think I'll be the first one, but I do like to rep the pink jerseys in October. There haven't been. Firma didn't release one for the last couple of years, so I'll be glad to put that on and rep the pink.
Yeah,
yep.
I do miss the pink jersey. So
I have a whole bunch of them in my closet from past Octobers.
Yeah, this one's they're only going to wear this like for the next month, right?
Yes.
October.
Yeah.
So it's not a
maybe
third
only
kit.
No, well, I mean, officially, technically, it kind of is, but I think they're only going to wear it in October, maybe only.
I like the designs, a whole bunch of just ribbons.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks
Nice.
super nice.
And it's black too. My
Yeah.
favorite. I think inverted would look really cool too if it was inverted.
Oh, yeah.
But
It'd be super nice.
I need a Charlie black.
Black kit?
Yes.
Yeah. I would love that.
It. I crave it.
I would love that.
Yes. Anything else?
I think that's it.
Okay. Well, next podcast we'll show a picture of the jersey as we'll be in October, as this is the 29th of September. We'll definitely keep you guys in the loop of everything Club Leon in English. Don't forget to follow Club Leon EN on social media to keep you updated on all the live games and content and everything else in between. Don't forget to follow Louis as he will be present on Saturday nights. You can see him in his victory dance, which I'm hoping to get another video this weekend of that. We need it. We need the victory. But yeah, don't forget to follow us on all social medias. Let us know what you thought about this podcast, your thoughts, your feelings. Hopefully you guys enjoy the Leagues Cup final as much as we did. And equipo adelante. So thank you guys for joining us. This is episode 91 of the Lions Den podcast, champs. And we'll see you guys on another episode next week.